In recent years, a processing method known as honey has become more common, especially in parts of Central America. While washed coffee has all of its fruit material removed as quickly as possible, including the skin and the mucilage, in a honey process, only the skin is fully removed, and the seed is allowed to dry in some or all of its fruit mucilage. Honey processing is not as widely used as some of the other methods, but it's increasingly found in places like Costa Rica and El Salvador. While it shares similarities with the Brazilian pulp natural process, there are differences to both the methodology and the results. As with any type of post-harvest processing, the steps involved vary from place to place. In this video, we'll look at how the Chacon family at Las Lajas micromill in Costa Rica achieves their coffee's distinct profiles using the honey process. Just as in the washed process, coffee cherries first need to be picked ripe and sorted to make sure that only the best cherries are included in production. Also identical to the washed process is the fact that the coffee needs to be depulped as soon as possible after picking, usually between 8 and 12 hours. There are several variations of honey coffee that are commonly found in Costa Rica and elsewhere, and they're typically described with reference to color. You'll often find yellow, red, and black honeys from different mills, for instance. At Las Lajas, all of the honey coffee starts out the same way. The cherry skin is removed by a depulping machine, but 100% of the mucilage is left on the seeds. The main focus of producing honey coffees at Las Lajas is in the drying phase. Coffees at this mill are taken directly from the depulper to the drying area. Depending on the weather that day and on what Oscar and Francisca Chacon decide is best for that lot, the seeds in their mucilage will be set out to dry in one of several different ways. For yellow honeys, as seen here, coffee's moved onto tarp-covered patios under full sun, where it's raked into a thin layer for fast, even drying. For something more fruity and fermented tasting, such as a red or a black honey, the coffee's piled in the greenhouse for certain amounts of time before being agitated, rotated, aerated, and raked out by mill staff. During the drying time, the coffee's fermenting and developing the characteristics that are unique to each honey profile. Drying time depends on both the weather and the individual style of honey process being applied, but it usually takes between 2 to 3 weeks for the coffee to reach about 11% moisture. At Las Lajas, the Chacons focus primarily on honey and natural coffees, and they produce yellow, red, and black honeys with coffees from their different farms. Each honey style has a slightly different profile. Yellow tends to be the most mild in terms of fruitiness, most closely resembling a washed coffee. Red honey tends to have bigger fruit flavors and sweetness, as well as a noticeably more syrupy body. Black honeys express more winey, boozy, or jammy characteristics with a creamy body, almost like a lighter version of a natural. While this is just one example of the honey process, the Chacons are considered standard bearers of the style within the industry, and they're a great example of intentional and innovative processing methodology. Once the coffee is fully dried, it'll be stored in its parchment layer in a warehouse until it's ready to be exported. Then the parchment layer will be removed and the coffee gets shipped.